The man at the window. It started as the most ordinary part of her routine. Every weekday morning before work, Emily stopped at Starbucks. Same route, same order, same moment of quiet before the chaos of her office. She liked the smell of roasted beans and the faint music humming from the speakers. For months, the baristas at her usual spot knew her by name, but they were all smiles, harmless familiarity in a sea of strangers. One morning, the drive-through line stretched around the block. Emily sighed and checked her GPS. Another Starbucks was just 7 minutes ahead, right on her route. She switched lanes without thinking much of it. That tiny decision would change everything. The new Starbucks was smaller, quieter. The staff there didn't know her, which was refreshing at first. She'd order on her phone, pull in, grab her drink, and leave within minutes. But 2 weeks later, on a Tuesday that smelled like rain, she forgot to order ahead. So she pulled into the drive-thru. "Good morning, Emily!" A cheerful male voice called through the intercom. She froze. She hadn't said her name. She'd never met a male barista here before. Hi," she answered slowly. "Can I get an iced caramel macchiato?" "Of course, Emily," he said. "Pull up to the window for me." When she rolled forward, a tall man leaned from the window, dark hair tucked behind one ear, a light beard shadowing his face. His smile lingered too long. His eyes didn't blink. He handed her the coffee and winked. "Have a great day, Emily." She muttered a thank you, trying not to make eye contact. Maybe he'd seen her name on the order history somehow, she thought. No reason to panic. But after that, every morning she stopped by, he was there. Always at the same window. Always with the same grin. Sometimes he'd make small talk, meaningless things. "Cold morning, huh?" Or, "Working hard again today?" Then came the winks, the subtle jokes that made her skin crawl. He'd say her name every time, with a tone that felt like ownership. Then one morning, he was gone. A different barista handed her drink through the window. For a week straight, she didn't see him again. The uneasy tension she hadn't realized she'd been carrying began to fade. Until that Friday. Emily went inside to pick up her coffee because she wanted to stretch her legs. The parking lot shimmered with heat, and she balanced her drink carrier carefully as she walked back to her car. "Hey, Emily!" The voice came from behind her. She turned and saw him, the man from the window, standing near the edge of the lot, no uniform this time, just jeans and a gray hoodie. "Oh. Hi," she said, her stomach tightening. He smiled. "How was the movie last night?" Her blood ran cold. She had watched a movie the night before. Alone, in her living room. Curtains drawn. She didn't respond. He winked again, then walked away toward the line of cars waiting for the drive-thru. Emily drove to work with her heart in her throat. Every turn of the steering wheel made her question reality. How could he know that? Maybe it was a lucky guess. Maybe she'd posted something online. But she hadn't posted anything in weeks. By the end of the day, curiosity turned into fear. She went back to the Starbucks, walked straight to the counter, and asked one of the baristas if they knew a tall guy named Jonathan with dark hair. The girl's expression changed immediately. "Oh my God! Jonathan? He used to work here," she whispered. "He got fired a few weeks ago. Inappropriate behavior. He was creepy." Emily's throat went dry. "Creepy how?" "He used to follow some of the girls here." Another barista chimed in. "He even followed one coworker home once. They had to get management involved." The pieces began to click together in Emily's mind, the winks, the stares, the way he knew her name, her movie. It wasn't coincidence. That night, she called her best friend Lisa. "I think this guy's been watching me," she said. "Can you come over?" Lisa agreed immediately. 15 minutes later, Emily was pacing near the window, clutching her phone, when she saw a dark car roll slowly down her quiet suburban street. Black paint. Tinted windows. It stopped just past her driveway. Her phone buzzed. A call, unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" A familiar male voice replied. Why are you watching me, Emily? Then a pause. Come outside. Her scream echoed through the living room. I'm calling the police! She shouted, but the line went dead. She peeked through the curtain. The car's headlights flared to life and rolled away. The police arrived 15 minutes later, lights flashing blue across her walls. Lisa pulled up right after, terrified. Emily told them everything: his name, his appearance, the call. The officers assured her they'd track him down. 2 days later they did. Jonathan had been arrested after being found loitering near another Starbucks location, with a set of binoculars and a notepad in his car. The police told Emily something that made her hands shake for hours afterward. He'd worked at her old Starbucks before transferring to the new one. When she stopped showing up at the first location, he had requested a transfer, just to see her again. That night, as she sat alone in her living room, she couldn't stop glancing at the window. Because if Jonathan had watched her once, how many nights had he already been there, in the dark, just beyond the glass, smiling? The free TV trap. It had been months since Emily's run-in with Jonathan. She'd moved to a new apartment, changed her number, even switched jobs, anything to start over. The fear had dulled to a background hum, like a bad dream fading in daylight. Until one night, it all began again, quietly, through the glow of her phone's screen. It was a Saturday evening in early autumn. Emily was curled up in bed, scrolling through Facebook Marketplace. She wasn't looking for anything in particular, just killing time. Then a post caught her eye. Free 50-inch smart TV. Works perfectly. Must pick up tonight. The photos showed a flat-screen TV sitting on a carpeted floor, power light glowing, image crisp. The post was made by someone named Barbara Miller. Her profile looked normal. Middle-aged woman, smiling with her dog, a few posts about gardening. Moving tomorrow. The caption read. Don't need it anymore. Emily hesitated. Free? It seemed too good to be true. But curiosity tugged harder than caution. She messaged. Hi Barbara, is the TV still available? The reply came just minutes later. Yes. It's yours if you can come by tonight. They agreed on 8 p.m. Barbara sent her the address, a quiet neighborhood on the edge of town, maybe 15 minutes away. Emily felt a rush of small excitement. Her bedroom TV had just died a week ago. This was perfect timing. The road to Barbara's place grew darker the farther she drove. Suburban streetlights faded into long patches of empty land, and finally, a sign appeared. Dead end. The GPS told her to keep going. The street ended in a single narrow driveway lined with overgrown grass and bare trees. At the end stood a weathered white house and a detached garage with an old truck parked outside. Emily parked near the front steps, double-checked the address, and messaged Barbara again. I'm here. Almost instantly. Come on in. The TV's on the floor in the living room. Doors unlocked. Unlocked. That detail sent a small chill through her chest. She stepped out of the car. The night was still, the air heavy. Crickets hummed in the distance. Every window of the house was dark. When she reached the porch, she hesitated, then slowly pushed the door open. Hello? She called softly. No answer. The air inside smelled faintly of dust and damp wood. She fumbled for a light switch, couldn't find one, then switched on her phone's flashlight. The narrow beam cut through the shadows, illuminating faded wallpaper and a sagging couch. No TV in sight. Barbara? She called again. Her voice echoed faintly. The floorboards creaked beneath her as she stepped further in. A kitchen sat to her right, neat but outdated, yellow counters, old fridge. Ahead, a hallway stretched deeper into the house. At its end stood 2 staircases, one leading up, one down into darkness. Her phone buzzed. A message from Barbara. Sorry. I meant the upstairs living area. The TV's up there. Just take the stairs in front of you. Emily frowned. If Barbara was home, why not come down herself? She typed, Could you come down? It's pretty dark in here. No reply. Her flashlight trembled slightly in her hand. She took a cautious step toward the stairs, and froze. A sound. Not from above. From below. It was faint but unmistakable, the slow, uneven creak of footsteps coming up from the basement. Her pulse spiked. "Hello?" she called again, this time louder. "Is someone there?" The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, from the corner of her eye movement, the front door, which she'd left ajar, creaked open wider, then slammed shut. Emily gasped, spinning toward the noise. Through the small window beside the door, she caught a flash of motion, an arm, pale in the dim light, pulling the handle closed. A man's arm. "Barbara?" she whispered, voice trembling. Something shifted at the top of the basement stairs, a shadow moving faster now, climbing. That was enough. She bolted toward the back of the house. The old wooden floor groaned beneath her feet as she ran, heart thundering in her ears. She reached a back door, yanked the handle, and burst outside into tall grass that licked at her knees. She didn't stop. She ran sideways through the yard, into the dark outline of trees behind the property, until she reached another yard, then another. She kept moving, stumbling through strangers' backyards until the lights of the main road appeared ahead. Her lungs burned as she stopped near the curb, gasping for air. She turned to look back at the house she'd just escaped. It stood still and silent at the end of the cul-de-sac, moonlight reflecting off one window. Her phone buzzed again, multiple messages from Barbara. "Come back." "Where did you go?" "Come back now." All caps. Emily's stomach twisted. She dialed 911, gave the operator the address, and waited by the road until she saw the faint red glow of her car down the driveway. She needed it, her keys, her ID, her escape. When the house came back into view, it was darker than before. No lights. No sound. She took a deep breath and sprinted down the driveway. The grass whispered against her jeans. Every step felt louder than thunder. When she reached her car, she fumbled for her keys, then froze. The windshield was shattered, spiderweb cracks glinting under the moon. Her hands shook as she slid into the driver's seat and jammed the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life, but as she looked up, her eyes caught movement in the house's front window. A man stood there, watching her, smiling. He wasn't Barbara. His grin widened as she reversed down the driveway. Her headlights caught his face for a split second, pale, angular, wrong. She sped off, gravel kicking up behind her, not daring to look back again. Later, police would tell her that the Facebook account had been deleted within an hour of her report. The name Barbara Miller didn't belong to anyone in the area. And when they checked the house at that address, it had been abandoned for years. The only clue they found was a trail of footprints in the dust near the basement door, leading upstairs. The man at the mailbox. After the free TV ordeal, Emily stopped trusting anything that looked easy or harmless. She deleted Facebook, changed her locks again, and moved deeper into the city, into a third-floor apartment surrounded by people, traffic, and constant noise. Noise, she'd learned, was comforting. Silence only left space for things she didn't want to hear. But horror, she was starting to realize, doesn't always knock at your door. Sometimes, it slips quietly into your mailbox. It began with something small, a postcard. One morning in early spring, as Emily was sifting through bills and flyers, she noticed a colorful card from Walmart Auto Center. It was a simple advertisement. "Need new tires? Visit our nearest store for a discount." She thought little of it. Coincidence, maybe? She had been to a Walmart Auto Center the day before, curious about prices but never speaking to anyone. She dropped the postcard on the counter and forgot about it. The next day, there was another one. Identical. Same smudged blue logo, same folded corner. By the fifth day, it wasn't funny anymore. The same postcard. Every morning. Perfectly placed in her mailbox. No envelope. No name. Just her address. Emily went back to Walmart, clutching the small stack of flyers. When she reached the auto center counter, a middle-aged man in a blue uniform looked up. "Hey, are these yours?" she asked, setting them down. He blinked. We don't mail those out individually. These are handouts we keep here. He tapped the stack on his desk, dozens of the same cards sitting there, untouched. Where'd you get them? They've been showing up in my mailbox. Every single day. The man frowned. Ma'am, those aren't mailed. Someone's physically putting them there. The words sent a slow, cold pressure down her spine. Someone. Every morning. At her mailbox. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She made tea, sat by the window, and watched the quiet street below. Her mailbox stood near the end of the parking lot, a small metal unit with a single flickering streetlight above it. At 11 p.m., nothing. At 2 a.m., silence. She finally dozed off around 5, just before dawn. Then, a sound. Soft footsteps crunching on gravel. Her eyes snapped open. Through the window blinds, she saw a dark figure walking slowly along the row of mailboxes. The man wore a hooded jacket and kept one hand buried in his pocket. He stopped in front of hers. Her pulse thudded in her ears as she leaned closer to the glass. The man pulled something from his pocket, one of those same blue postcards, and slipped it inside her slot. Then he looked up. Directly at her. Their eyes met across 30 feet of empty space. His head tilted slightly, like he was smiling under the hood. Then, without hesitation, he began walking toward her building. Emily stumbled backward, heart hammering. She ran to the door, twisted the deadbolt, then the chain, then the secondary lock. Her phone shook in her hand as she dialed 911. The dispatcher's calm voice didn't match the panic rising in her chest. Stay inside, they said. Officers are on their way. From outside, she heard slow, deliberate steps on the stairwell. Then, the sound of a door handle rattling. Her door handle. Go away! She shouted, voice breaking. Silence. Then the faint crunch of gravel again, footsteps moving toward the back of the building. She ran to the kitchen and pressed her back against the wall, phone clutched tightly. For a moment, she heard nothing but her own breathing. Then, glass shattering. Her scream caught in her throat. She bolted into the bathroom, slammed the door, and locked it. Her shaking hands pressed against the wood as if that thin barrier could keep him out. The silence that followed was unbearable. She strained her ears. Nothing. Not even footsteps. Just the distant hum of traffic beyond her apartment walls. Then, a voice. Low. Close. I saw you watching me. It came from the living room. Emily covered her mouth to stop herself from crying out. She could see his shadow under the bathroom door, faint but real, still, deliberate movement. Minutes passed like hours. Then sirens. Red and blue light flickered against the crack of the door. The shadow disappeared. Emily waited another 30 seconds before she dared unlock the bathroom. She pushed it open slowly. The apartment was a mess. Shattered glass glittered on the floor. Her curtains were torn. But the man was gone. The officers searched the area but found nothing. No footprints, no fingerprints, no trace. When they asked her to describe him, all she could say was, "He looked average. Just normal." That's what scared me the most. A week passed with no new flyers. Emily started sleeping again, though always with the lights on. Life tried to crawl back to normal. But one morning, as she left for work, she froze on the porch. A single Walmart Auto Center postcard sat on the doormat, not in the mailbox this time. Written across it, in dark marker, were 5 words. Missed you at the window. Her hands trembled as she read it again. The handwriting was messy, rushed, but one detail made her knees weaken. The capital J. Looped sharp, familiar. Exactly like the one on Jonathan Starbuck's name tag. She called the police again, of course. They told her it could be a coincidence. The note was taken as evidence, but no prints, no DNA. Days turned into weeks. Then one morning, as she waited at a red light on her way to work, a black sedan pulled up beside her. The driver's window rolled down. For a heartbeat she saw him. Dark hair. Light beard. Smiling. He winked once, slow, deliberate, then turned the corner and vanished into traffic. The world went silent again. Emily's hands shook on the steering wheel. She sat there long after the light turned green, heart pounding, staring at the empty road. Because she finally understood what haunted her wasn't one moment, one house, one night. It was the idea that monsters don't live in shadows. They live in routines. They learn your name, your coffee order, your favorite movie. They wait, patient and ordinary, until you forget to be afraid.